Okay, welcome to the Buff Show. Today we have a market update coming your way. So it is July 15th. These numbers just came out for June. And this is gonna give us a good insight as to where things are at. I actually went on a listing appointment yesterday, printed these off, and they were May. So they were just updated just barely. So we got some good stats here to go over. Another thing I want to cover, the Parade of Homes, the Northern Wasatch Parade of Homes is going on the 11th through the 26th. So if you guys are interested in attending, you can get tickets at the Northern Wasatch Home Builders Association, or you can message us. They're $20 a ticket, and it's a good time. We're sitting at house number 12, I believe, up in Pleasant View, and it's sweet. Have you guys been there yet?
Not yet. But nope. I go up on Thursday.
Do you? Cool. Yep. It's sweet. It's a cool house. So, okay, let's jump into this. Who's got the first one?
I think you should lead us off.
Should I lead us? Okay.
Yeah.
So new listings. Kind of the properties that have been newly listed on the market in a given month. We are up 2.1% from June of last year to June of this year. So a couple more new listings than last year.
Not a whole lot, really.
Yeah.
On the scope of things.
The percentages, as you go back month to month to month, it's kind of, they're working their way back down a little bit on how much it's increased year over year.
So this one is interesting. So pending sales, the count of properties on which offers have been accepted in a given month. Not necessarily closed on, but accepted offers. So June of 24, we were 3,601. June of 25, we are 3,371, which is one of the biggest decreases of 6.3% that we've seen in probably the last, 12 months.
Well, we had, I guess,
It is
February.
February. We had a decrease of 10%.
Yeah.
But still, that's
a big decrease.
It's a big decrease.
It's a big one.
So in those pending sales, those went under contract in June, which is kind of bizarre because we had one of our busiest Julys ever.
Right.
As far as closings.
Right.
Yeah, as far as closings. And I was at a closing yesterday, and she said that July has been crazy because all the pendings in June would be closing in July or August, right?
For the most part.
However, a lot of our stuff
Had been under contract.
had been under contract and were kind of extended out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
See,
that
that's-
is.
All of mine that closed in July were under contract in June, though. All of mine closed quick, actually.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Closed sales, a count of the actual sales that closed in a given month. June of 2024, 3,712. June of 2025, 3,812 for an increase of 2.7%.
Which that's interesting.
That's very interesting.
Explain that to us.
That
Clancy.
means that there's more homes selling this year than there were last year, while at this exact same time, there's less homes going under contract as compared to a year ago.
Which means
So,
we just talked about this a little
More
bit.
homes. It means if you're going under contract, statistically, you're more likely for that home to close than a year ago.
Right.
I like
is-
that.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
accept that.
That's a good way to put it.
Good, clean definition there.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, we are on days on market until sell. Average number of days between when a property is listed and when an offer is accepted in a given month. June of 2024, we were at 46 days. June of 2025, we're at 54 days. So we're up 17.4%. So your home is sitting on the market a little bit longer until you go on under contract.
I am feeling that right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think July and January are some of the slowest months
July is so hard.
in real estate. And I tell people that, and they're like, "Really?
You have
Would you
all the
agree on your
holidays.
Well,
listings?"
I've seen it.
I-
True as can be right now.
It's dead. How about you on your listings?
We're dead on a couple of our listings for
You?
sure.
Similar, yeah, similar.
Why would you say July is just like a dead time?
Holidays, man.
things and
Everybody's-
stuff.
Well, you got all
Good point.
the holidays,
Yeah.
vacations, like
Yeah.
camping, summer. Like everybody, it's right in the middle of summer. Everybody plans vacations. They're
Yeah.
all gone every weekend. Like we just did an open house on a brand new listing that thought was a pretty good listing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I really do. And we had one group show up.
So I did 2 weeks ago. We did 3 open houses in a week. 0 attendees across all 3 of the open houses, and that's from Logan to Morgan.
You sat one of mine that weekend, didn't you?
I sat one of yours the weekend before, like a few weekends before that. 0 at that one.
Yep.
See, but we've got a house that I did an open house on a Friday from 4 to 6, and we had 4 groups come through, which is to me like a crazy amount on a Friday 4 to 6.
Yeah,
on
that's
that Logan
interesting.
listing. So
And Logan.
I wonder
Yeah.
if maybe that's a good strategy we should
To
talk
do
about
during the summertime.
more of
That's
the
a good
middle of the
point.
weeks because the weekends are taken up by the things and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, maybe that's a strategy that we got to really consider is during your slow months, why are they slow? And it's because people are out of town on weekends. Let's shift open houses to midweek open houses.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. I'll
Good
tell you,
theory.
because I have another one scheduled on that same house this weekend on Saturday. So if it's another slow one,
I'd
maybe,
do it.
maybe we'll try and move it sometime.
Even
during
like a
another week
Thursday or like a-
Thursday, Friday, maybe.
yeah, Thursday from like 4 to 6.
Friday
or
might not be
something
great
like
because
that.
it's be after work. That's probably when people are going to be leaving.
Tearing off.
But
Yeah.
Thursday might be a good time to do it.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out here, so we're middle of July. By the time people are watching this, it's probably August. So average days on market is 54. That's till you have a contract. Let's just say 60. So 2 months. So you have August, September, and then the contract takes what, 30 days on average? 30 to 45. So August, September, October. So if you list your house today, given the market trends, you're likely not closing until sometime in November.
Now let's flip that. Not flip that, but let's talk about. This is the biggest thing that I get from every seller. I want to lock in a property to purchase, right? Or I'm nervous to sell because there's nothing on the market that I'm liking that I want to make a move on. So why would
Yeah.
I list mine without having any idea where I'm going to go? Keep that in mind. Like you're going to have roughly 3 months of market inventory that's going to hit the market before you actually close and have to move out of your house.
Yeah. So likely the house that you're even
You're
going to
gonna make
buy
an offer on, it's not even on the
is
market
not
yet.
even on the market
Right.
yet. And there are a few cases where somebody will
For sure.
carry a subject to seller or a subject to
Replacement property.
yeah. Well, no.
Yeah.
A subject to selling your home addendum. So that's if like the seller is trying to buy a house and they have a subject to selling their house.
So subject to them finding a replacement property,
For a replacement property is the
right?
Well, no, I'm thinking because the seller is the buyer, right? And
no
so,
the buyer is a seller. Subject to sell is the buyers. The buyer has to sell their house before they can buy yours.
right. But what I'm saying is the sellers that are now buying, they would be making an offer subject to their home selling.
Oh, yes.
There are some parties that
Oh,
some
correct,
sellers
yes.
that
Yeah.
would carry that. So
Okay, I thought you were
I was
saying
getting-
for the seller to subject to them finding a replacement
Yeah, there
property
are-
on selling their
yeah,
property.
yeah, there
I see what
are
you're saying.
some buyers that will work with that too, but
Yeah.
it's tough. I've lost a few deals because we've tried to just like even Sunday. I had some clients who have their house listed, and they saw a house that they really liked that came up. They're like, I've been eyeballing this even before it was on the market. Called the agent. They already had a few offers. I'm like, hey, is there any shot of us getting in here with the subject to sell? He's like.
Honestly, no.
He's like, there's no shot. We have cash offers. Like it's just looking too good. So if you're trying to buy a house and you have a house to sell, you kind of have to go out on the limb, get your house out there, and we can include that subject to seller finding a replacement property, which is good.
Well,
Oh, go ahead. Oh, the jinx. I think the biggest thing to remember too when people get nervous to list their houses is once you're on the market, you are still in control of your destiny, right? So you're going to get offers and see things, and you'll be able to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
At that point, so if it's not going to work out, even if you are listed, you can still say no to an offer,
Yeah.
right? Like if something comes in
terms
and they're
don't
very
work
aggressive,
out.
yeah, it's not like your hands tied because you're live on the market.
Right.
You still have a say before you go under contract. So think about that. You can still negotiate that after you go live.
Yeah.
Or just flat say, no, it's not working right now. We're holding off a little bit until we have a reason to.
Yeah, we pull the plug for a minute and then figure it out. We have another one going live this week that it's our third time going live with them. And like it's just been kind of a roller coaster with them. We've had to pull it off for various different reasons. But that's a journey sometimes, right? So the biggest takeaway here is just realize that it takes a minute to sell right now, and 54 is average. Like if you're in Ogden Valley, you're over 100 right now.
Right.
And I'm not sure what Morgan is at the moment. but-
Morgan's fairly identical to the state, about
Yeah.
58, almost 60.
it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would talk with your agent, figure out like get really specific about your property,
Yeah.
your location, figure out what average days on market is for your specific type property, because there are properties that I am seeing specifically in Davis County, certain areas, certain price ranges that are still going quick.
Yeah.
And so if that's your property, like, you need to have a game plan.
Yeah.
Like, if it sells quickly, where am I going? If I don't have a property that I'm already under contract with, or if the buyer is not willing to let me stay for an extra month or two till I find a property.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is what you said, get with your agent and strategize.
Yeah.
Like I closed on one yesterday and the sellers got a month and a half lease back on it. Cash, free lease back, like it was pretty awesome. And so those deals are still happening out
Right.
there. But if we can't sit down with you and kind of go over what your game plan is, because a lot of times we get approached like, hey, I want this house, like make it happen. And it's like, is your house ready? How are we gonna do this?
For sure.
Do you know what your payments would be? You know, you're running through all the scenarios. It just helps if we have that conversation well in advance, because it's not a quick turnaround time right now on making this happen in most cases, right? We just did a deal and it was multiple months from start to finish. So anyways,
About 2.5 months, actually.
yeah. Which my client mentioned on that one. He's like, man, this just took so long. But he's like, I listened to one of your podcasts and I guess that's about average. And I was like, yeah, except you guys weren't even on the market.
Yeah, we were 2.5 months, and we weren't live at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
It went
we-
under contract before.
Yeah, it was a couple month contract is what it
Yeah.
was. So,
But
okay.
30 days on the market, 30 days to close is a pretty average time.
Yep.
Yeah. Payton's out.
Sorry, team.
Part timer.
Median sales price. He's got a lunch. A tea party? Is that what it was?
I'm gonna go to middle school.
So, okay, medium sales price. So, this is basically taking all the sales for that month and then knocking them off at either end until you get to the middle one. So, we are up 2% from that of last year. Pretty flat. I mean, if you go back to 2023, so for the past 2.5 years, 2 years easy has been super flat. I would say probably beginning like this spring, we've seen like a slight pull up, but it's been pretty
Yeah. for
pretty
sure.
flat since
2023.
since
middle
2020,
of 2023.
yeah, middle of 2023. So exactly 2 years. Definition of flat market, in my opinion.
Average sales price. So the average sales price for all closed sales, and remember, this is not counting seller concessions, right? So you take all of the sales prices, you add them together and divide by the total amount of sales. That's how you get the average sales price. So June of 24, we had a 639,000, and June of 2025, 671,000 for an increase of about 5%. One thing to remember on average sales price is it gets skewed just a little easier because you sell a $70 million property in the state of Utah, and then you sell a $120,000 property in the state of Utah or home in the state of Utah. Those two don't necessarily cancel each other out. So that large sell will affect these numbers differently, as well as a lot of small sales will.
It's interesting interesting because the peak of like the average sales price was like back in 2022, and it shows that we're above that. When the median, it shows we still haven't
Quite crested the peak.
crested the peak of 2022, which is yeah.
But
it's just-
but in reality, on average and the median, they tell the same kind of story. We
Yeah.
really peaked hard in 2022, severely dropped off, till the start of 2023, and then we've been on a slow rise ever since. So that bottom, I think, has already fallen. Like
Yeah.
from that peak, we've hit that bottom, and now we're on that
I think it's,
again a healthy trajectory
it's
of
good
real
to
estate.
take both those graphs and kind of overlay them a little bit and get a better picture.
Well, and I think the biggest thing that's kind of running our sales prices right now is the interest rates, because I think there is a lot of demand out there. There's a lot of sellers that would like to sell but can't ditch their low interest rate. And I think if rates adjust slightly more, we'll see these numbers change quite a bit.
Yeah, and a conversation I've been having lately with a handful of clients is Trump is putting a lot of pressure on Jerome Powell to lower rates. Jerome Powell doesn't want to lower rates for whatever reason. Our inflation is down below 2%. Our economy is holding pretty steady. The tariffs haven't affected the inflation as they had expected them to.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything's kind of pointing towards rates coming down. But for whatever reason, like they're not at the moment. But I think you're right. I think if they come down even a small amount, I think if they hit 6% or lower, you're going to see a big market surge.
I'm a little worried if that were to happen.
Yeah, I think that, like, let's say Powell does what Trump at the moment wants, which is 300 basis points, which I don't know how that would directly correlate to interest rates on a mortgage.
Yeah.
But it would be significant,
Yeah.
right? Let's say it brings it down 1.5%.
Yeah.
So you're down to 5% now, roughly, maybe a little bit above 5%. Like, that's a big interest rate change
that's
and
huge.
a jump, and that would, in my opinion,
That would
boost the market
it would
incredibly.
it would boost it. I think a jump like that could be dangerous, but
Everything would get expensive.
Yeah.
I feel like I think you'd have a big surge of buyers.
yeah.
I don't think you would.
You don't think
Don't
you
you
would?
think so?
I think what you would see, and here we're going to these precursors and predictions. It's like asking why my wife's mad at me, right? Nobody knows. For sure. We have ideas, but nobody knows. I think what you're going to see is you'll see a slight tick up in buyers, of course, because what you're allowing now is people who are right on the edge to come in. But you're not going to see all these people that are teetering on the fence with a 2 and a 3% interest rate go gaga over bananas over a 1 to 1.5% rate drop. If you're really stuck in your house and you're truly stuck,
Yeah, but
that's not going to change. That's not going to change much, because think of your buying power at a higher rate, less cost, or a buying power at a lower rate, higher cost. Right? You're getting the same. It's the same lateral move or negative move from a lower rate up, but the only thing I think we're going to induce into the market is more buyers that aren't stuck with a rate. The ones that are right on the fence of either a new home buyer or something like that. I don't think we're going to get all these people that are stuck in their rates moving just because that's small of a rate hike.
I think, but I do think you're going to find a lot of people who are stuck in their rate, who are okay with being where they are, whatever family situation it is. They're outgrowing the house, but it's not worth it to them. But if that rate comes down a little bit more, it makes it more worth it and more appealing, and they'll make that move.
Sure,
I think
that's
I
that
agree
small
to a point. You're going to
right
get
on the fence buyer.
You're going to get on the fence buyers as well as people who are stuck in that rate, but are like, we really just need to do something because it's not comfortable with wherever we're at, but we don't want to lose this rate, but we'll take a 5 or a 5.5 or whatever that is. You know what I mean? So I do think you'll have. I don't know how big that surge would be. Obviously,
Right.
like there's no way to tell that. But
It'll be interesting to see what happens. It's been a kind of wild west lately with everything going on.
100%.
Tariffs,
there's just a
all
lot
the
of
Iran stuff,
unknown.
and just
Yeah.
like it seems like people are just like, hold up. Like anytime there's a lot of uncertainty, people seem to pump the brakes a little bit.
For sure. All right. Percent of original list price received. So this is the percentage found when dividing a property's sales price by its original list price, then taking the average for all properties sold in a given month, not accounting for seller concessions. So 2024 of June, we were at 97.7%. June of 2025, we're at 97.1%. So we're down 0.6%. So what this is basically telling us is, on average, when you list your home, let's say you list your home for $100,000, you're likely going to receive an offer, or you're going to go under contract at $97,100.
Yeah,
Basically.
not including seller
Not
concession.
including concessions, correct?
So probably a little bit less.
And concessions are probably averaging, 1 to 2%.
Yeah, I like to look at this, the percent of original list price received, as how negotiable is our deals right now, right? So
Roughly
and
3 to 4% right
roughly 3 to 4% negotiation wiggle room, not counting concessions. So
which is crazy because you go back to 2021, 2022, and it was 101% of list price. Like on average, sellers were getting more than they were asking, which is just bonkers.
the great blinding in real estate.
Yeah. Okay, housing affordability index. So this basically gauges how affordable the market is, and it takes the median household income, the median price home, and prevailing interest rates. So the higher the number means the greater the affordability. And last year we were at 74. This year we're down to 73. I think that's mostly because home prices have gone up slightly, and rates have been about the same.
For sure.
So right now rates are what? High sixes, low sevens, depending on what loan you're doing.
So the last time that you could technically afford a home on the average income of a household in Utah was around 2022, the start of 2022.
Yeah, when we were around 100.
Yep.
So, and that makes like it, because I'm working with a few investors right now too. And in fact, I was just on the call with one yesterday, and it's tough for investors right now because trying to buy a property
And make the numbers work.
and make the numbers work is near impossible.
Your margins. You have to get super creative. I feel like it can't, like a traditional purchase just doesn't really work much.
I mean, I've done a few lately where it's just interest only, and it's like, hey, we're figuring this out as we go, you know.
Cash is king right now, right? There's those 2 times in real estate when you want to get as much debt as you can.
Yeah.
Money's cheap. And then there's times when that cash is pivotal to become an investor.
But the problem that I'm finding with my investors is they can make more money in a CD right now than they can in real estate.
100%.
And that makes it tough because like the CD, they're just sitting there doing nothing for. And real estate's like, okay, we got to find property manager, we got to fix this up. And it's like, okay, when that's all said and done, you'll make 3 or 4 or 5% maybe.
I do think
max.
that it depends on what the goal is, because I think long term, if your plan is to hold that property, and it's not going to bankrupt you in the next 2 years to hold, then to make those payments or to break even or whatever that is, like long term, you're going to make more money on real estate.
Yeah.
Right? If you can hold that property, your plan is to hold that property for 10, 15 years versus keeping your money in a CD for 10, 15 years, you're going to make more money on real estate.
I agree.
For sure.
Yeah, because right now, as a buyer, you'll have more bargaining power,
But cash flow is
It's tough.
zero,
yeah.
basically.
But you get, I mean, we were looking at other options like, okay, well, buying this investment property, what would it do for your tax burden situation,
Right.
Can you use it for part of your business? And so we were looking at all these other options, and that's where it started making more sense. And they were looking at it as, hey, this is like a 10, 20-year play, which in that case, it does make sense. If you're looking at it like
A strictly cash flow position, it's hard to do real estate.
Tough.
it's not, you would be really hard pressed to go out and find rental properties and be able to live off the rental income unless you have a ton of extra cash.
Yeah. Especially in Utah,
Yeah. So,
for sure.
but I mean, they're still out there. I haven't done a whole lot of investment
No, I haven't.
purchases lately, but I have like for myself, I've bought some, but
Those are
it's-
long term.
they're long term and the numbers like aren't great.
Yeah.
So,
Cash is king
yeah.
right now. Okay, inventory of homes for sale. The number of properties available for sale in active status at the end of a given month. So they're listed, not under contract, not pending. So June of 2024, 12,758. June of 25, 16,033. That's a 25% increase. And if you guys kind of look back over the months for the last 12 months, I mean, we've been increasing by 20 to 30%, give or take, for a year
Yes.
on inventory. We've just
Yes.
been ticking up every month.
Which is, if you go back to like, say, what time do we have this level of inventory? It's about 2015.
Yep.
So a decade ago is when we had this level of inventories of homes available on the market.
But the one thing I would mention, I guess,
Yeah.
you look at 2015, we're right just over 15,000, right?
Yep.
And if you go back to 2008 to 2009, in between those 2 years, we're up over 30,000.
Yeah.
So I think you get a lot of, I see it all the time on my social media feed. Oh, we're in the market crash. The market said it crashed. The market, bubble's gonna burst. Whatever that is, right? And so,
It's
yes, our inventory is up, but our inventory is really kind of just getting back to normal levels.
Exactly. And I think the argument that people aren't making is even if we were climbing 20, 25,000 homes available on the market, how many more, like what's the population growth and demand
That's a good
curve
point. Yeah,
that we've
absolutely.
seen in Utah since 2008?
Right.
Because it's got to be 20,
I'm sure there's
25%
just
more.
naturally a larger buyer pool.
Yes. Yeah.
Versus 2008. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing to look at on these inventories is within each year, even though we're having a steady uptick year over year, in between each year, we're low at the start of the year. We start cresting higher inventories middle of the year, summertime, and then acutely drop off again.
Quarter three,
almost
quarter
every
four.
year.
And that's what we're hitting
Year over
right
year.
now.
Yep.
You can see it, like it's kind of
We're
cresting.
peaking in our half year point.
Yep. And then as we go into the fall,
We'll start moving inventory a lot
it
faster.
starts
You'll start
clearing out.
selling off the quarter 2 inventory, and then quarter 3 doesn't produce a whole lot, and quarter 4 is super low.
So buyers, get after it right now because you got the cherry pickings, and sellers, be patient because there is historically buyers coming.
Well, and if I'm a buyer, like a buyer looking for the best deal, like
Quarter four,
it's
quarter one.
probably like November, December,
Mm-hmm.
before like sellers are like, I don't want to have to shovel the driveway and worry about
Less options to choose from, but the market's a slower market.
way slower.
It's a slower market.
There's just, I mean, that's when we are like resting and recouping is like December because it's slow. Like you just don't show a lot of houses but
I mean, you got
usually
you
super busy in December,
you part-time agents still. I am busy all year
Super
long.
busy in December. Quarter 4 historically has been our best quarter, but
has it?
but I don't know if it will be this year. But
You had a pretty good quarter too, so that's going to be hard to beat. No, we bought our house in November of last year. It was great. Yeah. So, and I've had this conversation a few times. Like, when's the best time to list? And I always say, like, it seems like November to like March is slower,
you always,
and then July seems slower. So, like, I'd say April to June is a good time, and then August to November are kind of the bigger times as sellers to try and time and get out while there's no snow and stuff like that. But it depends on what you're selling. If you have a condo in Moose Hollow in Eden, where it's like a ski haven, like it's a great thing to sell in the winter.
in the wintertime.
Yeah.
All right, so next is the month's supply of inventory. This is the inventory of homes for sale at the end of a given month divided by the average monthly pending sales from the last 12 months. So June of 2024, we were at 3.8, and June of 2025, we're at 4.6. So we're up 21.1% of inventory, which is a pretty big jump
Yeah.
from the previous year.
Creeping closer and closer to definition of buyer's market. 6 months of inventory considered a buyer's market.
Yeah.
So, like the last time we had this level of inventory again, going back to 2015.
So, yeah, whatever the market was in 2015, obviously, I don't know. I wasn't an agent then, but
It was nice.
like
I
we're a
enjoyed
similar
that time.
market, I feel like. I'm
Yeah.
guessing, yeah.
Yeah, it is similar. There's a lot more to choose from. It's a little bit more slower, stable. Like the market that we're in is really overall a pretty good
Healthy.
market.
It's a healthy
Yeah.
market.
Healthy market.
Yeah.
But I think
I-
you get
I did not enjoy 21 and 22. I did not enjoy those times as like if you were working with buyers, you're just like, hey, like
Just
we
throw
would
an offer in,
we would
yeah.
submit like 9, 10 offers on the houses, and it was like buyers had no say
negotiating.
on what house they got into. Like it was just it wasn't enjoyable.
scramble.
Yeah.
And it was hard because like it gave
Peyton couldn't handle the heat.
I couldn't handle the heat.
it was hard for the buyers. It was like you have no time to think anything over.
Right.
If you see the home and you like it, we need to have an offer in by that night.
Right.
I
for it to
remember
be considered.
going out on Saturdays and just lines of people
Yeah.
like waiting to get
Just waiting to
into
see a house.
Yeah. And I was just like, this is unreal. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were a seller, it was a great time. But then you had to go buy. So it's
Correct.
like, it's not that.
Put
This is-
you right back in the same spot as everybody else.
This is a way more healthy market. Now, month supply of inventory, if you look at other like sub-markets, so like Ogden Valley, we're at like 8 months supply of inventory, which is the definition of a buyer's market, right?
right.
Morgan, I think you're creeping at like 6 months supply, depending on if you include under contracts into the
Yeah,
subs or not.
we're even on our month supply. We're very average with the state.
Yeah.
Now that we're kind of through all these, one thing I want to kind of present and ask you guys is, I've been seeing, we talk investors and making money and making pivotal moves. When the market is volatile and moving, there's a lot of opportunity to make big money fast.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have been on that bandwagon, and social medias and everything are pushing like people are selling that, like, get $1 billion and double it, that kind of mentality. And I'm really seeing now that that's really softening, and a lot of these spec builders and different people that just had the money, they could get into real estate, and they can make a quick $100,000, this and that. That's going away, and you've got to be a lot more calculated and a lot more persistent in your work to make that kind of money in real estate right now. So even though it's a healthy market for some, and we like it, it's a calm. It's becoming a lot harder of a market for like your spec builders and your, small time investors that aren't able to sell and move these properties as fast.
So are you going to pose me a question?
So the question is, this is what we call a healthy market. Who, in your eyes, is it healthy for, and who do you think is becoming a harder market for?
I'd say it's healthy for the average consumer, the average buyer seller in the market who is using it for personal use, right? Primary residences, stuff like that.
So I agree with you, but I think it's healthy for the investor too, because it's like Bitcoin. Everybody wants to buy Bitcoin right now because it's over $100,000. The time to buy Bitcoin isn't now.
Right. It was
It was when it was dead quiet, right? Like, and every year Bitcoin just goes through these cycles, and there's like a couple months where it's just like it was sitting at 80 grand, just like hovering there, quiet, like nobody was really talking about it. But then it surges, and everybody's like, now we need to buy. I think real estate's the same way.
right.
If they lower interest rates, we could start seeing those spikes in appreciation if the demand comes back out. And we'll be looking at people that bought now thinking like, man, you paid X amount for that house, but now you're seeing 10, 20% returns on it because the market's since changed.
But again,
right?
that goes back to what is the investment type? Is it a long-term
I-
hold? Is it
no.
a long-term play? Because like right now, I don't think you can make the $150,000 in 6 months.
I think you get
Unless you buy a good flip and then you find the flip, and like there's things out there.
I think you find stuff that fits your needs. So if maybe you're a business owner and you don't own the business that you're like, I have multiple friends that have businesses, and if they don't have an office for their business, I think that's a great way to set it up, to tee it up, so that they can increase the value of their business and add some real estate to it. Right now is a great time for that, I think. If like we're house hacking again, we just added a renter to our place. You think at 35 I wanted to be, have like sharing space with my 4 kids again,
right.
but we're doing it.
Right.
I mean, we are too. Yeah.
So
love it.
I would summarize that in right now as investments, you've got to look at secondary values, not your right out of the gate cash to cash. What are your secondary values that real estate can bring to you?
Yeah.
Your taxes, your business, opportunities, stuff like that. So we're looking at more of a investment for like a lifestyle / business strategy right now, where you're cash on cash, rolling that money. It's not a great real estate market for it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like you almost get hesitant as an agent to be like, oh yeah, it's not a great time to invest, but it's just flat not, unless you have a secondary value that you need or want.
Yeah.
So
I think if you're a person just looking for cash flow and you want to say retire and you want cash flow right now and you have $1 million or $2 million, like it's probably not the best use of your money because
for sure.
You'll invest it, you'll get 4%, return on it, unless you have a way of finding a really good deal. But most of those investors want like something new that's no maintenance. They don't want to touch it. They want a property manager. And if that's the case, if you want to be hands-off real estate investor, it's going to be hard to get a good return in real estate right now.
Yeah.
But if you have a ton of active income and you need to offset your taxes and you're like, man, I don't need some of this money for, I'm looking 10, 20 years down the road, I think now's a great time because you'll dump the money into real estate, you'll get the tax benefits. It'll grow. And I think what people don't talk about, like our fourplex that we bought like 10 years ago, like when we bought it, rents were like $500 or $600 a month. Now they're $1,500 a month. And that's some of the things that people don't mention that I think just happens over time. But it's like, you have to be able to let it sit in the market long enough to have that time horizon. And I think right now, 1 to 3 years isn't enough. If you're 5, 10, 15 years time horizon, it's enough. But now you're getting to the point where your properties have sat in there long enough and you're like, I want to do other things with this money.
So I myself am personally divesting about half of my real estate portfolio
Why are you doing that?
because of the amount of cash in it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing we just talked about. Right now, I can roll and work my cash better because I have been in the market long enough on certain properties
Yeah.
that I can make more money. I've kind of peaked on my, I bought it before the dip. Obviously, I rode that crazy ride up.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting a 2 to 3% year over year return on my appreciation. And then my cash on cash doesn't really pan out right now because
Yeah.
I can make more money, like you say, in
Doing something different.
basic savings accounts without the headache of renters and different things like that. And you have one, that's the hard part about real estate. There is costs involved.
Yeah.
Different strategies, and we'll not get into that because I'm not a professional in that field. I use other agents and brokers for that. But right now I'm seeing that I can make my cash and my equity that I have in those homes work better for me.
Yeah. But
Now
you're
the-
going to be fairly active on like where to put that and moving it around.
It's not just going to be a sit and hold like a 401k or
Yeah.
anything. They're going to be very, builds. I'm going to be doing hard money lending, different things like that.
Ben's a gambler.
I am going to be going to Wendover. So if anybody wants to, buy a house, let's go to Wendover and, make that money. Yeah.
No, but I think you're good at that. Like, and I'm the opposite approach. Like I look at the time it takes to get a rental property, and I'm like, I would just rather not make as much on it and just leave it how it is. So like, I think I could make a much higher return on the equity that I have in rental properties, but I don't, for some reason, I just don't want to do it.
I think what it is your motivation and where your active income is coming from right now. You are 90% in your active income. Your passive income is working for you. It's quiet. It's only taking 10% of your time.
Yeah.
Where mine is quiet, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
Right. So I've
Yeah.
got to. I'm not making enough, even in my active income. So I've got to work this money, and eventually I'll pivot back to where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you're eons ahead of me in the number of rentals and stuff
That's
like
not
that.
true,
But I've got to roll that money a few more times, and then I'll put it back into real estate
Yeah.
to have it sit and comp. Because one thing about, yes, I can make more money on my cash right now, but when it's in real estate, I'm constantly backed by a solid asset.
Right.
yeah.
Just like you talk about Bitcoin, and we won't get too deep into that, but the reason for tokens and stuff like that isn't to own the tokens and stuff like that. It's to make money and then buy real property.
Something that is
Something that is tangible, right? That's what, in my opinion, everybody, cameras, in my opinion, the goal of money isn't to have more money. The goal of money is to have enough money and to back it by a tangible, we talk our gold backing. I want to back it by
an asset
properties
that's
and
going to
assets.
appreciate.
Yep.
One thought that if you did have enough money would be cool is you buy real estate and then use the cash flow from that real estate to fund your other investment accounts.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, I think that's a solid strategy. I'm not to that point yet, but eventually it would be cool to be like, hey, like the rental income's great. We don't necessarily need it. Let's dump it into Bitcoin,
Count that
right?
grows.
And just like every month, like you don't see it, it just goes there.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of force yourself to be broke. That'd be an interesting approach to.
So we actually do that. You can do that we're getting deep into investing stuff,
Yeah.
but I'll take rents, cover costs, fill the maintenance account, and then any profit will actually go straight into a 3-month fundable CD. So every 3 months I can add.
Yeah.
Goes into that 3-month fundable CD. And then that fundable CD pays me 4%, which I do shared secured loans against at 3% to make another 5% investing that money.
Got it figured out.
So exactly what you're talking, you can do that in smaller and bigger chains. Oh man, I'm excited. But yeah, I 100% agree. I don't think real estate is a one-all buy-all. I think
Yeah.
you've got to be very diversified
100%.
and be willing to diversify.
But it's pretty cool what you can do with real estate, right?
Yep. Real
that-
estate's always involved
Yeah.
in any rich man scheme.
Right. And that's the hard part when it comes to like, I really want a new truck. And I've been talking about a truck for
2 years.
For a year. No, it's been longer than that. But it's hard because I keep spending it on other things. Most of it is real estate related.
I'm in that same boat. My wife needs a car.
Yeah.
Never had a new one. Never whined or complained. But I'm like, I really need to buy her a car. And then I'm like, we really need to remodel the house. But I'm like, I could just take all of this
invest
and
it.
invest it. And then in another 5 years, when she threatens to leave me, I'll try to,
Yeah.
buy her love with a new car or remodel and
But at some point, you have to
live.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I think sometimes we're too conservative.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, I am for sure. And I've known people, they've died with a lot of money in their accounts, and they scrimped and saved and never enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I don't think
See, and
that's the
that's-
way to go.
Yeah. I think I'm probably more of a middle ground of you two.
Yeah.
I would say. Like we'll enjoy our money, but we're not gonna.
So everybody be more like Kate.
No.
Yeah. Kate coming in with the final sword there. I'm the best of both
No,
worlds.
I'm
so
just saying. We just met with a financial advisor. First of all, I've never been in that situation to even have that thought to have to do that.
to have a need for it.
Yeah, this is a new experience for me. So, we just met with a financial advisor. We got a fair amount of money coming in, and we're just like, we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so, right now, we're taking all of our money basically out of our traditional bank accounts and putting it into a financial advisor Schwab account, basically. And they're going to take portions of it and invest portions of it aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to have like our little 6-month cushion
Yeah.
that is going to be invested, but it's going to be invested very conservatively.
Mm-hmm.
And that way our money's growing in different areas, but like it's a new world for me.
Let me have your money, Kate.
I'm not giving you my money.
Kate needs help.
We could
investing as
double
well.
it in one weekend.
Oh man!
All right.
Well, this has been good.
Day trade with Ben.
Yeah, I've seen Ben in
Went over
casinos, and
trading.
it's impressive. He's got a pair, that's for sure.
Thanks. We need to clip that out. Thanks, Matthew. I want that isolated. and
I've
sent
seen
to
it.
me.
I've seen
Ben
it.
wants that on the title. Ben
Yeah.
has a pair.
Peyton's seen my pair. Say it. Let's name this podcast that. So
All right. What's your last final words of advice for buyers, sellers, or people in this market?
you got to be proactive no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean stupid and go buy stuff, but you got to be proactive. Studying, buying, selling, holding. Just constantly be looking at your money, your options, business, everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to real estate, just in general, like ask questions. Go if you're considering a move because it's the right time in your life with your family situation, whatever that is. Ask questions. Talk with an agent. Talk with a lender, but don't sit idle. Like
Yeah.
You'll never know or get any answers. You'll be in the same boat this year, next year, and 5 years if you never do anything.
Yeah.
Like Ben said, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
Well, and I think my advice would be intentional. Have like your vision of what you're trying to accomplish, and like the top clients that I work with the most, like they're always like, hey, what do you think about this? What should I do here?
Yes.
So that they can plan and make adjustments as we go. And that's probably my biggest complaint with some clients is like, they're like, hey, I want to make this happen today, but I haven't had the background to like kind of coach them what they need to do to prep for that. And then it's like, okay, well, we need to complete this whole puzzle today, which can be impossible at times, right? But so figure out, have those conversations with your family, your spouse, whoever it is, figure out what the goal is. And sometimes it takes a handful of years to get there, but if you start prepping and planning, like it all kind of comes together.
Bring a team into that.
Yeah.
Right. Like talk with family, figure out what the goal is, then figure out who you need to get involved to achieve that goal. Because I get this, I see this all the time where it's like buyers, they feel like they need to save just tons and tons and tons of money before they can do anything.
Yeah.
Right. In some cases that is the case, but there might be other times where you
Yeah.
don't need to necessarily have 5% down or 10% down or whatever that is to make it work. And so like, just if you're thinking that you're getting close to the time, right? You think, oh, I want to own a property or I want to buy a second property or a third property, whatever that is in a year or two.
Yeah.
Talk with an agent, talk with a lender, get them on your team.
Yep.
And then, like you said, develop a roadmap
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
The time to ask questions is months before the action.
Right.
Yes. If not years, right?
Correct.
Because kind of off topic, but when I remember, I think it was beginning of last year, I was like, hey, my ultimate goal is to have more acreage, more space. And it ended up happening like a year faster than I thought. And I didn't even think that it was feasible for us to do what we did. But then it ended up like falling into place. I had good lenders, good title people. And I was like, how can we set this up to where I can make this happen? And like the stars aligned. So
But you had already had that plan.
I had the vision.
Yeah.
I didn't have like how I was going to connect the dots, but then the dots like appeared, and I was like, oh.
But you were in a place where you were somewhat ready for it.
Somewhat.
Maybe not like all the way, but
Yeah.
you had already
yeah,
kind of.
somewhat ready. And I think you just went through that. Like you got some more ground and set up your place better.
Yep.
And it's just, again, you have to kind of know what your vision is, and then sometimes the way appears, and you're like, oh, it's happening sooner than we thought, and sometimes you're ready for it, So
Set your framework up, and eventually an opportunity will present itself.
exactly.
But if you're not ready for the opportunity,
You're
you'll
gonna
miss,
there
you'll
or
miss
not,
it every
doesn't
time.
matter.
You'll just miss it. Exactly. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great July. Till next time.
Love you. Bye.